Jack Van Bebba. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Egberto. I've got a full page written off your latest newsletter.
Let's go for it.
I'm gonna let her rip. Okay.
Let her rip.
Yes, the super rich are taking full advantage of the working class. Anytime you hear record profits, it's a sign. Those record profits were made off the hard work of the working class. Are the workers going to continue to accept this treatment? At some point, the workers will revolt. When it comes to beating back these fascist policies the super rich are using on the people, the solution is simple. Quit paying the people who are enslaving you. We have to slow the money moving up the chain by not spending to send the message up the chain, we've had enough. Slow down consumption of goods and services, auto loans, home loans, save your money. When they see the consumers are not spending, that sends a message. When people start canceling their insurance, sends a message to big healthcare. When people stop paying their taxes, it sends a bigger message.
That is 100% right. It sends a message. And you know what, Jack? It's interesting because I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the pandemic what happened. People stayed home. People didn't go to restaurants. People weren't doing anything. And we were at a state of panic, the corporatocracy that is, because they knew one thing. That was an inflection point. And they knew that when we came back, things could either stay the same or things could be different. An article written by Les Leopold, which at Common Dreams, one of the progressive rags that I like to go to because they cover things that are really of interest to the working class, the middle class. So he wrote an article titled Pillaging by the Super Rich Will Continue Until the Working Class Revolts. And yes, the super rich is concerned that the working class will revolt. And it's one of the reasons they invest so heavily into misleading us. They invest so heavily into us fighting each other. They are the ones that do a whole lot of that to make sure we fight each other. So here's how he starts. He says, there comes a time in the history of a nation when extreme inequality turns into pillage. If economic power is concentrated, so is political power, and the wealthy are able to do whatever they damn well please. They can lie, cheat, and steal because they know they won't be held accountable. And that's what they've been doing. Lying to you, stealing from you, and understanding that there are no consequences. And who is the biggest impersonation of no consequences for doing wrong, for stealing, for lying, for cheating? The current or the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, is actually proving that statement. He's lied continuously about what his record was as a president. He's lied about just everything before he got into the presidency. He's lied about his wealth. He's cheated people out of their monies by creating a false university. He's cheated his 501c3, his charitable organization, for taking the money that people donate to it for himself. He has pilfered the working class as people came and worked for him to build his different hotels, etc. Many of them were left holding the bags. And for that, he stole from them. He, as his wife was pregnant, he was messing around with call girls, if you will. Again, think about it. And his reward was to become president of the United States. And too many are still not holding him accountable. So we can start right at the top where we see we have given some people a pass to do us wrong. And at the same time, we continue to suffer without realizing the cause of that. Now, the question is, from Leopold, have the super rich now taken control of our political and economic system? Some current news make me worry. The answer is absolutely yes, sir. Let's start with the food industry, the food cartel that includes General Mills, PepsiCo, and Tyson, which has been jacking up prices nonstop since 2020. Why are food prices up 25% since then? These giants blame supply chain, which they created and which they've outsourced, etc. The rising cost of labor, that's a lie, because the American labor, if you take a look at the cost of labor relative to the productivity increase, it's stand still. People haven't been getting more money in the aggregate. And the rise in prices of other inputs required to produce and distribute their products, that's a lie. We never really had an oil shortage. What we had is a created shortage by people saying, you know what, there's a lot of oil on the market. Let Saudi Arabia produce less oil. Let's produce less products so that we can jack the price up by creating a false shortage. So they've lied to you. They've lied to you. And now many of you are saying, oh, Biden, under Biden, we got inflation. What you got was the result of what these people have done. Make no mistake. It wasn't Biden. It was the corporation. And until you understand that and believe that, we will continue to have these false realities. We can't. These giants blame supply chain and rising costs of labor and the rising prices of other inputs required to produce and distribute their products. It is not their fault, they say, but the real culprit upon closer examination is stock buybacks. By raising prices and then using the cash to buy back their own stocks, thereby increasing the market value of each share. Stock buybacks do not increase the value of a company, but they move money effortless to the largest of the street share owners and to a company's top executives who receive most of their compensation via stock investments. Again, so these guys who run these companies, they get subsidies from the government. They increase the prices on you, and then they use that extra landfill in profits not to pay taxes on the extra money they're getting, but to do something called stock buybacks. And when you buy back stocks, there are no tax consequences. So you're simply taking money out of the corporations. And guess what? And when you, the individual who got that stock buyback, go ahead and realize the stock gains from that stock buyback, guess what happens? They pay a lower tax rate than you, the person who was working. Yet so many of us defend the system. Yet so many of us continue to put our heads in the sand as opposed to realizing who the culprits are. Oh, it's Biden under inflation. I did better under Trump. First of all, from a mathematical standpoint, that is not true. That is a provable lie. That is a provable lie. They tell you, and then we repeat. So many of us instantiate that, and we believe it, and then we go say, "Oh, Biden did this," but I'm sorry. It simply is not true. Look at your stock options for those who have stocks. Look at your 401k for those who have 401ks. And of course, for the most who have none of that, they pay the price for the pilfer. As food prices shot up 25%, the 10 largest grocery and restaurant brands have together returned a pledge to return more than $77 billion to shareholders. So here we go. All these companies that are supplying your grocery store, they raised their prices by a bunch. And they told their shareholders, guess what we're going to do for you, folks, shareholders? We are going to give you $77 billion in stock, not only stock appreciation, but actually dividends. And that dividend come from us making more money. And that us making more money come from us inflating prices. It's called inflation. No. It's not called inflation. It's corporate greed rate. All right. Don't call it inflation. Call it what it is. Corporate greed rate. So they told their shareholders, we are going to give you $77 billion. So every time you say you're mad that your prices in the grocery store is going up, every time you are mad at Biden by saying, why is it so expensive? Remember these companies promised their shareholders an additional $77 billion. Whose money is that? That's yours. That is that extra money you're paying for eggs, for cheese, for lettuce. Because the farmer and the guy picking the lettuce, he's not making any more money, but the shareholder was promised $77 billion. And guess what? He or she is getting it. You know? He or she is getting it. Don't be fooled. Let's be smart. In related news, California fast food giants have claimed that state's 2023 minimum wage law, which raised wages from $16 to $20 in California, killed 10,000 jobs. Oh my God, raising wages killed jobs. Oh, so what should we do? We should not give people more money to give them a living wage just so that employers can employ more people. But, you know, even that was a lie. A closer look picked up by the Los Angeles Times showed that the industry cooked the numbers. They lied to you by comparing employment in September with December. But every year, September is within the peak dining out season, and in December, people dine out least. When adjusted for seasonal variations or compared with the employment levels exactly 1 year earlier, both standard ways of measuring employment levels, guess what, my dear brothers and sisters? The numbers of jobs actually increased by 7,000 after the minimum wage law was enacted. In other words, they raised the minimum wage in California. And unlike the lie from the corporatocracy that said 10,000 jobs were lost, the reality is 7,000 jobs were gained. And it's not hard to understand why. If you are paying people more, the people who get paid more are the people who will spend that money immediately. As they spend that money immediately, guess what it does? It increases economic activity, and increased economic activity means you need more workers to cover that increased economic activity. It's not rocket science. It is just how things work. But they lie to you, and too many believe it. Boeing recently crashed into the news again when company CEO Dave Calhoun was roasted by a couple of congressional committees about its shoddy production processes. There were plenty of outraged performances, but none of the so self-righteous lawmakers had the cojones to ask about the impact on safety of Boeing's $61 billion in stock buybacks, or about Calhoun, who hauled in $30 million in stock incentives while Boeing lost $1.6 billion in 2023. It is possible that maybe, just maybe, Boeing financed those buybacks by laying off workers, moving work to lower wage subcontractors, and cutting safety corners. Radio silence from Congress. Yeah, they wanted to roast this guy from Boeing, but at the same time, the capitalist structure that created the crash in Boeing, those plane crashes because of cut costs, that door flying open because you go to substandard services so that you can pay your stockholders more, so that you can have stock buybacks, so that you can have all these things. Come on, folks. They have been snowing you for a very long time. They have your eyes off the ball. They have you thinking about all the things that you don't need to think about, even as they pilfer you. Is the worker revolt going to happen? Or are we going to keep this false notion about the MAGA versus this and all? Look, you know why MAGA is MAGA? They're looking for answers too, because they know something is up. Unfortunately, they had the wrong man to ride, because they are riding somebody who pilfered them. But they're looking. They are looking. All of us need to be looking. All of us need to be doing the right thing. Then there's the way Wall Street squeezes out new homeowners, home buyers by gobbling up houses and turning them into rentals. Let's not forget that John Deere recently announced moving jobs from the United States to Mexico while feasting on government contracts and, of course, using job cuts to finance what again? Stock buyback. So we have Wall Street that's buying up homes. You go to any community with middle price homes. And you know what? You see a lot of empty homes, a lot of homeless, but a lot of empty homes. Why are they empty? They have owners, corporate owners, and they have the ability to keep these homes off the market. If they keep these homes off the market, what happens? The price of rentals go up because there is a shortage of homes, because there's a false scarcity by those who just hold on to these homes. And it's happening everywhere, from Atlanta, Georgia, to Houston, Texas, to everywhere. And you want to know why the prices of these homes are going skyrocketing? Get ready for the bubble to burst, folks. And then they're going to be coming back for some more corporate welfare when that occurs. Do we even have to mention how Big Pharma is charging us more than it does? Canadians, I mean, imagine that. Where is the glory, glory, hallelujah? Where is I love America? Where is we think America first? That's what they like to say, right? We care about America, but you know what? Big Pharma sells their drugs at a good price in Canada. They sell their products at good prices in France. They sell their drugs at good prices in Great Britain. Good prices everywhere but the United States. They pill for you, and you support them. You support the big orange man that is there that says as soon as he gets into office, he's promised the oil industry another $1 billion. He's promised the pharmaceuticals something else. He's promised all these rich people that are now giving him $50 million here, $25 million there, $10 million here, that he's going to serve them first. He claims he's going to give something to the workers for the restaurant industry. I'm not going to tax your tips. No, you don't need to tax your tips. You need to get rid of tips and tell these guys to pay these guys a living wage instead of the $2.13 an hour they make. Do we have to mention Big Pharma again? The ripoff to feed their profits, which then gets shipped to the richest of the rich via stock buybacks. Of the $3 trillion in after-tax U.S. corporate profits in 2022, about $1.31 trillion, about half, went to stock buybacks. That creates nothing. Remember, stock buybacks used to be illegal, but Reagan allowed tax buybacks, and since then they have pilfered us. Since then, our productivity have gone through the roof, but our wages have stayed stagnant. Not until we had this new type of progressive input that Brother Biden actually brought in because of the stimuli, etc., did we start to see some of this being mitigated. But since Reagan, there has not been really a real increase in the aggregate on your wages. There has not been. Corporate welfare, just hearing what phrases makes me nauseous because it's a stark reminder of how feeble we are. Progressives have been complaining about government giveaways to large corporations at least since 1970s, and the practice has only grown. I'll bet you already know how bad it is. We taxpayers give the oil industry about $20 billion a year. And guess what? Another billion is being promised a year in subsidies, while BP, Shell, Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Total Energies plow $104 billion in dividend and stock buybacks. Think about this. This is the money in excess of operation. This is money in excess of executive pay. This is money in excess of all these things, an extra $104 billion in stock buybacks, and we're giving them more money in subsidies. Think about that, folks. Greed. Is it ever enough? No. Wall Street may be getting as much as $800 million a day via the Federal Reserve, according to one report. You ever heard of quantitative easing? I have yet to find a credible source that adds it all up. I'm guessing it's well over $1 trillion a year in direct subsidies, tax breaks, and financial markets. Talking about welfare, they talk about the welfare mom or welfare dad who people get pissed off because I saw them put a stake in that cart, and then they paid with food stamps. You know who's getting the most food stamps and your money? The corporations are. And the money, and it is quantifiable and verifiable. And we allow it. We fight each other. We fight the welfare recipient. We look at them with disdain. Working class revolt, folks, is ultimately what's going to come. The pitchforks. We're nowhere near any kind of organized mass uprising, but American workers are not stupid. They may not be able to spell out in detail how they're getting ripped off, but they know it's happening. Most importantly, they understand that the government works for the rich and not them. That's why so many are willing to support a train-wrecking outsider who attacked the government, even when they are anti-worker billionaire buffoons. In 1964, 77% of Americans had trust in the federal government. Now it's 16%. 16% of us don't trust we the people. And you know why? Because we the people continuously allow the rich to snow us into electing buffoons. And in so doing, they pilfer us. And then we say, oh my God, look how bad it is. Well, it's in your hands. And in November, again, it is in your hands. It is in your hands.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.